Here we are, extremely privileged to be in one of the most beautiful places on the planet. And although you probably can't see it, there's some lions behind us, some impala, Prince Harry, our resident hippo, some eland, zebra, all around us. Incredibly privileged, but also privileged to be in conversation with Richard Marstorp, the strategic director of Zambezi Society. Richard, thanks so much for coming to spend a little bit of time at Camp Mana. Please, can you tell us a little about what Zambezi Society does and has done?
Steve, thanks very much, and it's an absolute privilege to be here. And if you wouldn't mind, if I don't talk for about a minute or two, just to honor the absolute peace and quiet, tranquility, and embrace of this wonderful valley that you and I and our team are custodians of. It's an absolute privilege to be here with you, and particularly in your camp. I mean, it's so unique in that it's a light footprint. You immediately feel close to the bush when you're in this camp. So Zambezi Society is been going for 40 years, Steve. I've only been with it for under 10, I guess. And our main role is to support our national parks. So we differentiate ourselves from many other conservation outfits in that we provide direct support to national parks on the ground. And in fact, with your help, we are managing to keep their morale up, to keep their energy up, because we use that to buy your support and your viewers' support to purchase a product called Maheu, which is a local grain product made locally, and an energy drink that they can take on their walks with them, and it makes a huge difference. So essentially, our main purpose is to help others and parks be custodians of this magnificent valley, of which Mana is just a part. It's only a part of it.
How far is your reach in the Zambezi Valley?
Um, so originally we were from source to mouth. That was way back. But right now we've had to focus, and we cover the what we call it's the Biosphere Reserve, Lower Middle Zambezi Biosphere Reserve, appointed by UNESCO. So that stretches from just this side of Matusadona through to pretty much before we go into Mozambique, Chivori. So it's about 220 k's of water frontage, be it the Zambezi River or Kariba.
Paradise.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the little bit of help we give in supporting the anti-poaching unit, the Mana Pools anti-poaching unit.
Yeah.
Is that the sum total of the work you do, or are there other areas in which you are involved?
In terms of actual support, we do weapons training for parks. It's very important for everybody's safety, actually, that they become very competent with weapons. So some of our volunteers are specialists. We provide weapon training. We actually, in part of the areas, we provide the ammunition, because parks are struggling even to get ammunition. Our vehicles is must be our major role. Parks really struggle to get their hands on vehicles. We provide a driver we provide 4 drivers with 4 vehicles from Chirara down to here. And those vehicles are tracked. We get daily reports on WhatsApp where they're closely managed, and it gives us some influence on where the deployments go.
And so those vehicles are used to deploy the anti-poaching units to conduct their patrols in different areas.
Yeah, so typically they may go to the boundary area, which is quite a hot spot, stay there 7 days, and within there they'll patrol. Or you drop them off, and then some days later you'll pick them up somewhere else. So they're purely dedicated to anti-poaching.
And do you provide any support to national parks other than the anti-poaching unit, to the guys in the head office or the guys in the stations in the valley?
We sit on some of the major committees with parks. So we sit on the Northern Region Elephant Plan Committee. We meet at least once a year. We sit on some of the task force that are related to that. They're different silos. So our support there is really in, I'll say it again, in a strategic role, a tactical role. And interesting enough, I think we have the time to have our eyes elsewhere in Africa and to learn from others. I think one of our strongest assets as Zambezi Society is being a collaborator. We're very keen to absorb knowledge, and then we talk to parks, share that with them.
Great. Can I go back to your involvement with the anti-poaching briefly, and ask you whether in the years that Zambezi Society has been operating, are there any indices that can point towards success that you might have had in the past 40 years?
That's a bit tricky, I think in terms of anti-poaching, the society sort of morphed itself over the years. So we were high in research in the early years, and it's only in the last decade really that we saw the need to engage in anti-poaching and park support. So, and certainly in those 10 years, we've got indices. I mean, the carcasses, poached elephant. We monitor that together with parks.
And have you seen over the past 10 years a decrease in particularly elephant poaching, but in poaching in general, or has there been an increase in spite of your involvement?
Oh, yeah, look, it would be difficult for us to take credit for what I'm going to say. But if we're not really supposed to quote numbers, but in terms of trends, if we assume 8 years ago the indice was 100, within 4 years of that we were down to an indice of about 28, 30, and then down to 12, and in Mana specifically that we know of. So when I say that we know of, it's always been that we know of, because we don't know that we're capturing everything. The last couple of years we've had no known poached elephant. Wow. And there are a variety of factors for that, I mean, of which our support, getting parks out there, the training is one of them. But we believe there's also a sort of global factor in that demand has dropped and the price of ivory in the east has come down. So the risk, because in this country it's a 9-year mandatory sentence if you minimum, if you get caught either trying to poach or with ivory. And believe it or not, the law here operates very swiftly. Once somebody's picked up, they're in front of a magistrate within days, and typically they can be prosecuted within 2 weeks. So it's a stiff sentence, and there is obviously that risk versus price.
Oh yeah, I get it, but I think you deserve to take a little bit of credit because of all the support that you've provided towards sustenance and morale, as well as deployment. If you guys weren't doing that, I can't see that the Mana Pools anti-poaching unit would be doing much more than strolling around the head office, the office. So I think you have to take some credit there, and we hope to continue, not just continue supporting you, to grow our support, so that we can just hopefully keep this incredible place going for generations to come, in spite of the many challenges that face it. Well, thank you for all your work.
No, pleasure, Steve. It really is. Yeah.